Lo-Fi Horror Guys Growing on You Live, Season 12, is brought to you by Error 4444. Error 4444 is a film distribution label based in the US that is dedicated to restoring and releasing cult action, horror, sci-fi, and exploitation films on Blu-ray from across Asia, which is absolutely sick. I am so excited for these releases and for this company. They strive to release hidden gems that are either out of print or have never had the treatment of, the Blu-ray, the DVD treatment in the US, and giving these films the collector's editions that physical media fans of world genre cinema deserve. So cool. I love it. Their first ever Blu-ray release, Anatomia Extinction, directed by Tokyo Gore Police director Yoshihiro Nishimura, is now available on their site exclusively at error4444.bigcartel.com. That is error4444.bigcartel.com. It's limited to 1,000 copies, and they have less than 25% of their stock remaining. So they're dwindling, and they're super limited. Horror collectors like myself eat this stuff up. Go and check them out right now. I have my copy pre-ordered, and I completely support these guys. I'm so happy to be working with them and them helping me out this season. This season is This Is Hell month. So excited. Really, really cool guests. Thank you very much for stopping by. Enjoy the episode. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, the Lo-Fi Horror Guy. Welcome to another episode of the Lo-Fi Horror Guys Growing on You Live. Today, we're going to be having on my dude, Benny Mead, the drummer, which what we're going to dig into is the album Weight of the World by This Is Hell, along with many other things. We're going to draw into, some of his inspirations, some of his likes, how he got into drums, different things like that. So let's go ahead and get my dude, Benny, in here. Let's get this on rolling. Let's see here. Get us. All right, Benny, what is up, dude?
How's it going?
Man, thank you so much for your time today. I'm stoked to have you on, man. I appreciate the your time here.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yep,
Yeah,
all good.
I haven't used these headphones before. I don't know if they work or not.
Okay. Well, luckily they do. Shit.
Oh, all right. Okay, great. Well, let me know if there's a problem. Let me know. I'll switch them out.
Yeah, not a problem, not a problem. All right, man. Basically, here we're kind of, I got into this a little bit with the introduction, but we're gonna, kind of dig into your time with This Is Hell, the album back here, Weight of the World, different things, as far as with that. But then, but beforehand, we're gonna dig into some of your, interests and likes and, a couple other things later in the interview here. So if you're all set and you're all cozy, my dude, we're gonna get this bad boy started.
Yeah, let's get going.
All right. So first off, let me ask you as far as what bands or albums drew your attention early on? When you're a young kid, maybe your parents, listening to friends, relatives. What were some things that, drew your attention?
Well, my dad grew up in Jamaica, so like a lot of reggae in my early life. A lot of reggae music, a lot of soul music.
Yeah.
Not really much rock music. I kind of discovered heavier music on my own in my teens, I suppose. But yeah, like my early life, a lot of kind of classic soul and reggae.
Okay. Where did the interest in heavier music come from then? Where did that fall into place?
It's you. I was trying to think earlier, and I can't think of the one moment where it just clicked for me. I think
Okay.
just probably just through MTV,
Okay. Yeah.
finding bands through there, and then kind of gradually finding heavier and heavier stuff. But I mean, I think probably initially just I would say probably Green Day was the single band that had the biggest effect early on.
Okay. Okay.
I think that was probably the first punk record I bought. Just bought Dookie off the cover, and yeah, I think
Oh,
that's
nice. Okay.
probably the most kind of life-changingly influential record, like the first one. I would say
Nice.
that yeah, it would be that one.
Okay. Where did the inspiration as far as you playing drums then? Where did that come in?
Well, my brother was actually having drum lessons before me, my older brother. I got two brothers and a sister. We all learned piano initially.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
and then my brother started taking drum lessons, and then there was, I believe this to be true. This is how I remember it. He couldn't make a lesson one week, and so my mum just said, "Well, you're going then." So I got taken.
Okay.
So I got taken, but I loved it, and and I think the teachers, kind of encouraged me to carry on. So I must have been probably 10. So then when I went to high school, I just started taking lessons at high school weekly, and that was when I really just completely fell in love with it, and I stopped playing the piano and really just focused on drums.
Wow. Okay. It was so. Did you play in band then? Was there something where you did like a marching band or anything like that, furthering with your interest in
Mm,
drums?
no, no, I did play in the big band, like the jazz band a little bit, but
Okay.
it was there was a really great music department at that school, and there was a guy who set up an after school, essentially an after school program for anyone who wanted to pursue music, and he made it so we could use the music department after hours, which is
Oh,
how,
sick.
that was my whole school experience. After school, every day would just be playing music. So that was a massive, massive thing, and I really don't know that I would have done as much as I've been able to do without him doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
shout
Okay.
out to Mick Frame. Anyone watching who knows him will know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of people who owe him a lot, who are
Okay.
still playing music now. So yeah,
Wow. Would that have been earlier, maybe even earlier takes on writing pieces, as far as maybe some other friends that were, after school at this program with you, writing some music together?
yeah, absolutely. That was my first foray into having my own bands and writing music. Obviously doing covers,
Uh-huh.
Green Day covers and Blink-182 covers, um, Rage Against the Machine. And then yeah,
Sick.
writing.
Nice.
So my first band was at school as a result of that program. It was just like a grade rip off. We were just absolutely almost note for note ripping off grade.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I
Nice.
still rate it.
Hell yeah. Okay. Was that something that you guys had played any sort of shows or did like a, like assembly or something like that? Or was that just kind of like
Yeah.
a inner?
No, we played locally as well. I
Okay.
mean, for
Okay.
consider we were 15, maybe like 14, 15.
Hmm.
Yeah, we got stuff done, man. We were about it. But like I say,
Hell yeah.
the school really encouraged music. It was really at that time, especially when we were there, was they really encouraged us and they really gave us a platform and they let us use the hall and the drama studio to put on shows. Um, yeah, we were really lucky. I think there was a really good scene there for that, and everyone was into it. Everyone was in a band. It was great.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's something, as far as well, with the youth and just being able to have something to kind of keep out of bullshit and riffraff and being able to hang out and kind of have that clique of people to just play music and explore all that. I mean, that's a cool outlet for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And also just the way that it wasn't. Um, you could really just do your own thing. It wasn't like you had to join the band and it was very formal. It was like anyone could come and have a go, and
Hmm.
everyone did have come and have a go. And it was, I think a lot of people, even people who then didn't really pursue music, I think they got a lot out of it, and it was just a great way for people to spend time as much as anything. So yeah,
Hell
I'm
yeah.
really
Okay.
grateful. I'm really grateful for that.
Sure. When you were picking up drums and you were, playing a little bit more, taking it a little bit more seriously, what were maybe some tracks or some albums that you really had to push yourself to be able to learn and play along with? Anything come to mind?
Um, I wasn't. I'm going to be honest. I wasn't a great one for playing along to stuff, I would always rather write with my friends or just play on my own, come up with
Okay.
ideas on my own. I never really got much out of it, to be honest. I always wanted to do my own thing. Um, and a lot of my favorite drummers just, it wasn't necessarily about the part, it was just about the way they played. So I was always
Oh, okay.
emulating,
Nice.
I was emulating feel rather than, especially technical part or anything like that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm sorry, that's a boring answer, isn't it, to that
No, no,
question?
no, not at all, not at all. I appreciate that. I mean, that's your story was shit. I don't want you coming up with something and it just being some goofy ass bullshit. It's like let motherfucker just write that down and read it off a piece of paper.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, I dig that. I dig that. As far as what was your first drum kit then? You have your interest, you're playing different things. What was your first kit that that you had gotten? Where to come from?
Well, I feel like I kind of this is going to sound ridiculous, but I feel like I kind of had three first drum kits because my grandma donated us a kit. So there was a drum kit in the house for quite a while before I played it because my older brother was
Mm,
playing or learning.
mm,
I think she'd got it from her church or something, and she'd given it to us. So that was the kind of the first one that I was aware of, but I don't even really know what happened to it. And then when I started learning properly, my parents bought me one, which was the the brand was called Speedfire, and I played
nice.
that thing into the ground. I loved that kit. And then my
Yeah.
first kind of proper kind of branded drum kit was a red Wood Effects Pearl Export.
Oh, okay.
You
Nice,
know those
nice.
that
But
they're everywhere in Europe. I don't know if they're really that common in America. The
the
Pearl
Pearl
Export
Export
is
was
like
actually the
it's in every
that was the
rehearsal
first kit
studio.
that I'd ever got.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? Oh, okay,
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, I had a black one. That was kind of like my first entry into playing drums, and I beat the fuck out of that thing. I mean, basically beat the shells off of
Oh, yeah, they're
it.
indestructible. You can't.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't kill them.
yeah, right. So as far as from your first bands and then kind of playing, how where can we say Dead Swans? Where did that come into the picture? As far as did you have a couple of bands that you'd kind of played with for a little while and then fell into some of those fellas?
Uh, yeah. Well, we're all from the same town, so I'd known them all
Okay,
for a few years before any of that happened. I'd actually been
okay,
my first band that I toured with. Um, I'd already done quite a lot with them, done a couple of records with them, and done some touring. Um, and I also just played in a bunch of different bands. So, I just knew a lot of people who were doing music. And then the guys
okay,
from Dead Swans, or the guys who ended up being in Dead Swans, were already in two quite well-established local bands. Um, Ben and Rob from the original lineup, they were in a band called Nervous Wreck, who were sick. They were like kind of fast, thrashy, bit like Outbreak or something.
okay,
And
okay.
then Nick sang in a band called Turn Cold, who were they're probably my favorite UK hardcore band. They
Damn.
were really really sick. So they split up. Sam, you know the band Architects, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
he's
Sam
a
from
vocalist then.
Architects. Well, he is the vocalist now, but he was the drummer in Nervous Wreck,
Oh, okay.
and
Nice.
he and
Damn, I
I went
never
to
knew
school
that
with him
shit.
as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So he
So it
has a
was it
lot.
was kind of it was already a thing.
Yeah, yeah, big time. There was just a lot of people, a really good scene in the town we were from. Like not even Brighton, like the actual smaller town where we went to school and grew up. There was
Oh,
there was a lot going
okay.
on. So yeah, both those bands split up, I guess. Or no, no, they didn't actually. Nervous Wreck was still going. I played drums in Nervous Wreck for a little while as well. But then
Okay.
yeah, Nick approached me and just said, "Oh, we're gonna start doing this new thing." And I don't even really know how he sold it to me. I think he just said, "Do you want to come?" He was say, "You want to come and have a jam?" And we got this guy. our mate Pid from London coming down. He was in a band called The Legacy, who I think had split up as well at that point. Yeah, it was just kind of, it was really casual. And it's always the way. It's like the thing that you don't think is going to do anything ends up,
Yeah,
doing
right,
the
right.
most.
What
Because I was doing
was
another
was
band at that time that I was trying to push. It's kind of like the thing that I was really kind of, trying to get off the ground. Um,
yeah. Okay.
and Dead Swans was just like this punk band that was kind of like fun, and yeah, then it kind of just, yeah, it did what it did. So
Now, was there a bigger punk scene as well that, there was lots of, like, was there a fruition, I guess, of lots of local shows going on, even before you were doing some playing? I mean, were there things that you were hearing about other than bigger stadium concerts?
yeah, there was an amazing scene in Brighton when we first started playing.
Yeah,
I
okay.
feel like it just isn't anymore, but it used to really be on the touring circuit for American bands as well. They would always, touring packages would always come through, um, which is how I actually ended up meeting This Is Hell for the first time, because they came and played Brighton a couple of times, and I
Hmm.
would always go. I was a fan of the band, so I would always go and see them. Um,
Oh, okay.
so yeah, we were really, really lucky, really lucky. We did, even from starting out, we did our own DIY type shows, in wherever would let us put shows on, and then as we got older, we'd kind of move into doing shows in proper venues. But still, it was a real
Mm.
DIY movement there. There was loads of people. I mean, I can't really take responsibility. I was just playing, but there was loads of people who were not in bands, but who were really integral to that scene. And I think back on it, and I realised how lucky we were to have that, because so many places don't have that. They don't have those spaces where people can play, and or even the
Right.
people who want to put them on. So yeah, it was a really special time, and I don't think I appreciated it then.
Mm. Yeah, and something now, I mean, to look back on and, still to have, something, but I mean, that's cool to be able to have that opportunity and have, that moment where, there was a lot of shit going on and there was a lot of cool stuff, and being able to be in the middle of it and also play as well, and be active in that.
Yeah, it was great. It was amazing. I look back on it very fondly.
Yeah. Okay. What can you say as far as maybe some things that you may have learned those first couple of, shows getting out there that possibly prepped you for going out and touring? What were some things, maybe even just setting up the kit or breaking down, were there any maybe lessons that you picked up on that shit?
Yeah, I definitely think, um, like coming up in that environment, and like the first, I mean, the first few tours I did were just, thinking back on them now, it's just insane. It's just absolutely insane. We would tour without full backline. We would tour with like breakables and just borrow everything every night. So like
Okay.
we'd be like hundreds of miles from home with breakables, just hoping that the other bands were going to turn up, so we had stuff to play on. So I've just
Okay.
never been fussy. I think the biggest thing of that is I've never been fussy about gear, and I've never relied on having good sound at a show, um, which definitely has worked in my favor, because if you can play on a stage where there's no monitors and you're sitting on a beer crate, it doesn't. You can play anywhere, and I think
Totally.
that's really important.
Uh, so
We had a
relatable.
we had
Oh
a
my
we had a
God.
lot of that.
Okay. Okay. Shit. That's funny. I was gonna ask too, maybe some of the odder situations that you've been put in doing something like that, but sitting on a beer crate, that's up there.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's oh yeah, all kinds of things like that. Like not just having half the kit, like having no floor tom legs and just resting the floor tom or just resting it on the floor with a microphone on it.
Oh
Having to
man, that is
having to have shows where the bass player would have to stand in front of the kick drum because there was no legs on the kick drum. So you'd have to stand in front of it to stop it moving. Yeah, all that stuff. I mean, I don't
oh
feel like I'm special in that regard. Everyone I speak to is like, yeah, I mean, that was my first tour as well. You don't know anything, right?
yeah, totally,
But it's
totally,
the best
totally.
best way
Oh
to
man,
learn.
and but God, what a fucking headache being in the middle of it though. You're sitting there playing and the bass drum doesn't have legs and it moves every time you hit it. You're like, all right, what am I gonna do before this next song starts?
Oh yeah,
Or the
exactly. I think I don't know.
Oh,
I think because
that's funny.
it was so much a part of it early on, I just accepted it that it was maybe always
Yeah,
going to be a bit like that, and it just makes it
yeah.
so
You
much
don't know
easier
any
because
better.
then, yeah, right. And now when I can hear everything and nothing's moving, I'm like, I've made it. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if no one's there. It's so easy.
Oh, that is funny. That is funny. It like brings you a different appreciation. Kind of like going through the depression or some shit. It's like I don't care that nobody's here. My bass drum's not moving. Like I don't give a
Yeah,
fuck. Like I'm having
yeah,
fun.
100%. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm having a great time. I stay there all night.
Oh, that is funny. Oh my god. All right, so you mentioned a little bit into meeting the boys in This Is Hell. Through coming and touring and different things. So the first couple of times that you saw them was just as a fan and going out and was it a show that you played with them?
No, I didn't play it. The
Okay.
two bands that I mentioned before, though, they played it. Nervous Wreck and Turn Cold, they played with them. I saw them a
Okay.
couple of times, and I think I met Travis probably the first or second time, but not really any of the others. And then it wasn't until Dead Swans then toured with This Is Hell in
Mm.
Europe. That was when we properly met, and yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
all of us hit it off straight away. That was one of my favorite tours ever. That first one we did with those guys. It was a good time.
Oh, okay. Where did it where did the idea come up as far as, with Dan leaving the band and then them kind of mentioning something to you about playing on their next record and writing?
So as I remember it, uh, yeah, so we did the first shows we played with them. Dan was still in the band, so we did like 5 days with them in the UK, I think.
Oh,
So I
okay.
got to know Dan, and um, yeah, that was like maybe 6 months before the Euro tour, and then in that break between them, he left. So then the first European tour that Dead Swans did with them, it was this guy Dennis playing drums, who
Mm, mm.
I we weirdly already knew because he had been session drummer for this band called The Secret Handshake, who Dead Swans had toured
Okay.
with Bring Me the Horizon like the year before or something. So it was kind of a crazy coincidence that he was there. So that was great because we already knew him, and that was fun. But I think he had said he was always only going to do that tour. He was just helping out for that tour. So I think
Oh,
just as
okay.
that tour went on and I got to know the guys after we came home from it, yeah, I think Travis just messaged me and said, "We've got some studio time booked and we've got this tour booked. How do you feel about it?" And at that point, I was just trying to play. I was just trying to travel and play shows. So I was like, "Yeah, definitely. Yeah, fly me out." So that it was really
Nice.
kind of as simple as that. And then as it went on, um, yeah, as it went on, it kind of just more and more stuff was being booked, and then it kind of got to the point where they just said, "Oh, do you want to keep doing this?" So yeah, it
Nice.
was kind of,
Okay.
it was it was it was, it was easy as that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's sweet. Is there anything as far as, so what, from playing to, kind of hearing earlier demos and then going into recording, was there anything, maybe in the back of your mind as far as like a certain sound that you wanted to go with? It was a little bit different, from Dan's style, and in a good way. I mean, it certainly complemented the music, but it was different. Did you have kind of something in mind as far as your attack and your approach?
Um, well, I mean, first off, it was terrifying because you know it's huge shoes to fill. Dan is still one of my favorite drummers. I still hold him. He's way up there. So I was just completely intimidated. Um, but and to be honest, playing his parts was always a challenge. I think we're similar in some ways, but completely different in others. And I think he just had, they were his parts that he wrote. And yeah, I mean, he's the only one who really, I think, can do them justice. So, yeah, it was terrifying. But I think as I came in, Rick was definitely writing. He was going in another direction. So it was kind of easier for me to not feel like I had to try and be Dan. I would do it. I would do it my way, and it was going to sound different anyway. It wasn't going to sound like this is
Right.
a different genre. I think it was going to sound. It was quite a marked departure. So yeah, I didn't feel, but at the same time, I hadn't really ever played anything like that before. So I was just coming in and just being like, well, I'll do what I think is good, but I won't be afraid to take direction from Rick because this is really like his thing, like thrashier kind of stuff.
Right. Right.
I think that was kind of what then happened just going forward with all the writing that we did. It was very much a collaboration because Rick is a drummer as well. I don't know if you know that, but
Yeah.
Rick
Yep.
can play and the parts so when Rick wrote, he sent me the demos for Weight of the World and he'd written and programmed all the drums.
Mm.
There was some really cool stuff on there that I would never have thought to play. So that was a really cool collaboration, me trying to execute his ideas. I really enjoyed it because, like I say, it wasn't really a genre that I had ever really listened to, let alone knew anything about. So I felt like it was easy to
Wow.
go into
No
it
shit.
yeah, not really. I mean, obviously I'd heard early Metallica, but I never really played in a band like that before. So it was fun for me
Yeah.
and it was easy for me to not really have an ego about it because it wasn't like, this is all I've ever listened to and this is what I want to be the best at. It was just a cool
Right.
other
Yeah.
thing for
Like
me
an
to do.
added pressure to yourself with it.
Yeah, totally. But I didn't feel precious about it. I just wanted it to be a good record, and yeah, I didn't get hung up about it. I had a really good time. I had a really good time recording everything we did.
Okay. No, I mean, and that's sick though. I mean, that's cool to hear. Just as far as every once in a while you have a situation where somebody is really trying to encapsulate a certain time in thrash or metal, and you're so kind of hung on it. But then it's cool to have almost a fresh outtake, a fresh outlook on something, and going in and being like, well, I'm gonna try to do what I can here and try to make it fit, and hopefully, it works. It sounds good. And man, I mean,
Yeah,
what a fucking awesome outcome. Shit.
yeah. I mean, I don't think I really knew at the time if if it was good or not. I don't think I really. I was really kind of, yeah. I was relying on seeing how everyone else felt about it. Because, like I say, I had no frame of reference for my own playing of like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
happy with that, or yeah, I'm not happy with that. I was like, I think it sounds good. I don't know what else, not just me, but I don't know what else anyone would play in that part.
Right.
So
Right.
and
Man.
I also think it's kind of gives it its own certain charm that I didn't really know what I was doing. I think it kind of it's unique. It's unique in that sense that I didn't really know what I was doing. So.
Oh, that's sick, man. I love that. That's cool. That's I mean that's cool. And I think that there's times too where with writing along with something, a lot of times that there's some sort of a reference as far as if you do demos and they have some sort of a click track or a program drum behind it too. But bringing your personality and kind of something outside of that element, I think adds a little bit to it too. Kind of like you were mentioning with it just being a fresh look and a fresh approach onto it. That rules. I love that.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I feel really lucky that I was afforded um, that freedom and that opportunity to do that. And I felt I think Rick knew, you know, he he knew that it wasn't really. I didn't know anything about it really about that style, or I hadn't really done much of it before. But I think I felt very encouraged by him in that he felt like, well, I know you can play, so I think together we can make we can make something here, and I think we did, and especially going back and listening to it now, I love listening to it, and there's parts of the record that I don't recognize as me really, because I would never have chosen that part, and he encouraged me to do it, and like I'm not very good at double pedal, I never really worked on it that much. It was only really playing on that record that I put any work into it, and I probably couldn't play half of it now. I listened to it
Wow.
a couple of days ago, and I was listening to the Death of World Class, and the double pedal through the intro, I don't think I could play that anymore. Maybe I'll give it a
That
shot.
rips. Yeah. That's sweet. That's sweet. I love that. What would you say is a favorite song that came out of working on the album? Maybe even then, recording it and then now listening back. What were some highlights?
Um, I really like. I like the Death of World Class. I think that's just a really good song, and I like how choppy it is, and it's a bunch of different parts, and you don't really ever know where it's going. Um,
Right.
and I liked that one immediately when I heard the demos. I thought, oh yeah, this is going to be fun. It's going to be a fun one to play. And also, I don't know that really I'd ever. I think at that time that was those songs were the ones that had the most parts that had to be played as a part of anything I'd ever done. Really, most other
Oh,
bands I'd ever been in, it was pretty fluid and it was subject to change, and they were just simpler songs, so you just play fast. Do you know what I mean? And the fills were never
yeah,
the
okay.
same and stuff like that. Like that's just how
Yeah,
I play. So it was a
yeah.
good exercise for me to be like, okay, you have to play this the same every time. You know,
Okay, okay.
it's got to be the same. It's got to be tight, and like you've got to get this double pedal part right because it's following the bass line or following the guitar line or whatever. So that was the first one I think in rehearsal. I was really like, I don't know, it felt like a real achievement to get that one down because I was like, okay, I can do this. I just have to concentrate. It was less about feel and it was more about like concentrating.
Right.
But
Wipe the sweat off. You're like, all right, got through it.
yeah, but Rick was so patient, and actually, it's funny because we had um we had a long time to learn those songs in the end, way longer than we initially had given ourselves because we had a tour cancelled. I don't know if Rick mentioned this. I keep missing these because it's late for me when you're doing them. But we
Okay,
had a
yeah.
tour booked and the van broke down after 2 days. Um,
Oh,
so we just went back to Long Island, and my flight back to England was, in 2 weeks. So we just practiced for 2 weeks. But I don't
oh
know
shit.
without.
Okay.
Yeah, so we then went just into the studio and we just learned all the songs for the record. I think the intention initially was that I would learn them while I was home over Christmas, and then I would fly back and we'd record in January. But
Hmm.
then, yeah, in the end, we ended up actually having 2 weeks of like proper, you know, kind of pre-production and getting the parts down. So that was a big deal because I don't know that I would have come up with a lot of that stuff without Rick, standing over me and like working through them with me. Because some of it
Hmm.
was, yeah, like I say, it was like I'd never done it before. Um,
Man, that rules.
so yeah,
Eh,
it was a
With
good
with you
time.
with you mentioning working on double bass and kind of getting a little bit more relative with that, was that something where you were doing just kind of steady practicing and different I don't know, taking on different rudiments or trying to speed up your feet, or did you just turn on Slayer's Rain and Blood right away and try playing with it?
Oh no, I've never been like that about any part of my playing ever. I'm
Yeah.
terrible. My rudiments are terrible. I barely ever sit on the pad. Anything that I want to
Oh, okay.
learn, I just learn it in the context of the song. So
Mm, okay.
I'd never sit there and do, single stroke rolls with my feet or double stroke rolls with my feet to a click. Well, I mean, maybe I would now, but definitely not then. I
Mm.
just, I would just learn the part. If that was how the part needed to go, I would just play it over and over again until I could do it. But I think that's why I lost it again because I had no fundamentals at all. Not like no grounding really. It was just like, okay, you're going to need to play with both feet for like 16 bars at this speed. So but if it had been one more bar live, then I would have gone to pieces because I had only practiced enough to know how to, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so
fucking funny.
there was no real like grounding or real technical practice. It was just like, okay, well, I need to, yeah, I need to be able to do this bit of double pedal or like this fill, and I would just practice it over and over again until I nailed it. But it was never like it was never the sum of its parts. It was just like, it's this fill, it's that part. It wasn't like, okay, well, it's a double with this hand, you know, or a double with the feet, or it was always very much just like the thing. And I'm still like that, to be honest, in a certain sense.
Oh, okay. 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 Well,
Yeah,
yeah, thank God that
it's
they
a bad
didn't go
habit.
and, you know, playing that track live.
Well, I mean,
They didn't play that track
was,
live and ask you to go some more.
yeah, but that's the funny thing as well, because yeah, I'm better now, but I definitely used to be really bad for playing stuff too fast live. So especially
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
with the
Okay.
double pedals. If I came into it too fast, I would just no. 3 bars in, I'd be like, I'm not going to nail this section. I know it's coming. I'd just be sweating and looking at Rick like, oh God.
Don't hate me.
Yeah, please.
That's funny. That's funny. So you kind of mentioned a little bit of, you know, touring with This Is Hell, and what were maybe some favorite memories of the time that you got, you know, as far as with traveling with them in studio time? What were some things that come to mind, that you know were highlights of those times?
Well, I think the first two tours that we did, like they're kind of more original lineup. So them and Dead Swans, the first 5 days, it was just so much fun. We really got along. Well, I think we did. I think they'd agree. And then the second European tour we did, it was just that was my first kind of full European tour as well. So that was just like a kind of a milestone for me. And it was just, yeah, every time I think about it, I really, we went to a lot of places for the first time, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think the first tour when I was in the band, the first US tour, kind of for the same reason, it was my first US tour. Um,
Mhm.
and I was new to the band, and it kind of everything felt quite exciting, I guess. And it was like, you know, kind of doing some new stuff. I think, you know, Rick and Travis especially were feeling quite good about, you know, the stuff that was coming up and the new record that we were writing and all that stuff. So I think, yeah,
Sure.
that's probably the first tour we did. I think is probably my favorite one to think off the top of my head. But I mean, you know what it's like with touring, especially when you tour a
Mhm.
lot. Memories are I can't remember what was what, but we
Okay.
had some really
Yeah.
good times for sure.
Nice, nice. You've mentioned, I've seen a couple of different posts or a couple of different mentions as well, as far as time spent in on Long Island there with old Danny Lamelli. Did you meet him through your travels there, or did you know him before then?
No, I didn't. I met all of those guys just from being on Long Island, and
Okay.
I feel like I never publicly uh, kind of showed my appreciation for everyone on Long Island who just treated me so well. They were so nice to me, and like, everyone made so much effort with me, and they had no cause to at all, but they really went out of their way to look after me and buy me drinks and like
Mhm.
made, you know, always took me out, made sure I had a good time. I mean, you know, no one more so than Rick and Travis, and Andrew and Pete, who I obviously was in the band with. But yeah, all of those
Mhm.
guys were just, yeah, I made so many friends just from being there. I'm really grateful to all of them. So yeah,
Nice. Okay.
thank you everyone on Long Island.
Did you get to have the old bagel experience? Everybody keeps telling me about this shit on Long Island. You have to have a fucking proper bagel. Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, yeah, big time. Has anyone talked about?
Okay.
Yeah, when I first started staying with Travis's parents' house in Levittown, there's a shop called Bagel Town of Levittown. Has anyone talked about that?
Okay.
For my money,
I
it's the best
feel
one.
like, but okay, okay. Tell us about that. What is different from like a different bagel that you've ever had? What's the draw?
What? I mean, have you been to London?
No.
No. Okay. Well, I mean,
No bagels there?
well, no, there is, but it's just like it's incomparable. Like it's like pizza here is not the same as New York pizza. You know, it's a different thing
Oh, got ya,
altogether.
got ya.
So yeah, for me, it
Okay.
was just like, yeah, this is a different thing. This is a different animal entirely. So I mean, to be
Okay,
honest, anywhere
okay.
was probably good, but Bagel Town of Levittown, just because we would go there so much, and Rick would take me there as well. So, oh, Rick is
Okay,
here.
nice. Yeah, chiming in.
Yeah, he knows.
Good. Crash into Bagel Town. All right, nice. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those things. I mean, I've been to New York, but once I travel over that far east, I'm gonna have to go and check that out for sure.
Yeah, big time. It's a must.
Um,
It's a must go.
okay. So now, as far as so even post, we'll say post This Is Hell. You've had some really really cool stuff. I've kind of I've followed some of your ventures. You've done different things with. At one point, you were playing with Culture Abuse as well. Was that just you were like a filling in for a couple of shows, or what was going on there?
Yeah, that was just a real chance thing. I knew Davey from years ago, just from meeting him touring. He was always touring with various bands.
Yeah.
He was
Okay.
touring with Make Do Amend, and I knew Matt from Make Do Amend from he was at Bridge 9 when Dead Swans was on Bridge 9, and so
Okay.
yeah, I just knew Davey, and then yeah, they had like a falling out. I don't really know the story, but their drummer flew home early basically from a tour, and he called me and he said, we're doing Reading and Leeds this weekend. Our drummer's flown home. Can you do it? Like 2 days before. So yeah, so I
Oh
did it.
shit.
But it was really like
Yeah.
just learn as much as we could learn in one practice, and then we went. So yeah,
Damn.
it was terrifying. It was
Okay.
really terrifying.
Ni- Nice, nice. Okay, okay. Now, I mean, beyond that, where I was kind of going with this, as far as just your work with Dead Swans, you have Night Letters, you've got July. What are other things that are going on right now? More recent that you've been working on. I know you mentioned you've done some different session work, but your page is really active with a lot of different shit that you have going on. That's sick.
Oh, thanks. Well, thank you firstly for keeping tabs, man. That's really nice. Uh, I've been doing loads of different things. It's a bit difficult because when I came back to England and I stopped doing This Is How I thought I was gonna kind of go down the session route. That was my intention. I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll just try and do what I've always done and just play for a bunch of different people, but uh, maybe just stuff that's making more money, I guess, and just try and earn a bit more from it,
Mm.
try and make a living. And
Right.
I mean, I didn't have great success with it, if I'm being honest. And I just didn't enjoy it. The thing that I'd always liked about music was playing music with my friends and writing music with my friends, and that was what I really got out of it. And I just
Mm.
felt like
Okay.
some of the people that I auditioned for, that I ended up playing with for a bit, I don't know, you couldn't have paid me enough to keep doing it because I was getting nothing from it. I would have rather just had a day job
Yeah.
and then continued doing my own stuff, which is then essentially what I've been doing. Um, so yeah, I did a band called July with my brother and another really good
Oh
mate of mine.
wow.
It was just the three
Okay.
of us. Um, that's probably my favorite. Those two records we did probably my favorite songs I've written. I think um, we kind of took a hiatus from that. It was getting harder and harder to make it happen, but we still talk about doing stuff again. And I've been doing some. My brother is rapping, and I've been playing, doing some stuff with him as well. So we're probably gonna do some more stuff. Yeah, I
Now, is
think
that
down the line
noisy?
that'll come back. No, Noisy is that's kind of my session gig, but I always feel mean saying
Oh,
it's my
okay.
session gig because they're my mates as well. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, those guys are great. That's the thing that I've been kind of the busiest with the last couple of years. Um,
Hmm.
they signed they signed to Ireland, and they've got some exciting stuff coming up. So we did a lot of live stuff before everything got shut down. So looking forward to getting back to doing that. Yeah, keep an eye out for them, and hopefully we'll be out in the States. So yeah, hopefully you can come check out a show with those guys. That's been a huge departure from the
Totally.
stuff that I'm used to doing in
Hmm.
terms of like using electronics and kind of what I touched on before about writing parts and playing it the same every time. which is not usually what I'm about. So that's been really good fun as
Right.
well, and also just a style of music that I hadn't really played before, and learning to use electronics alongside acoustic drums and learning to make acoustic drums sit in with all the electronics going on. Um, yeah, I've loved it. I've loved doing that.
Nice. So how did you get the idea as far as did it just you know feel better, you know, with the layout, but having the pad on top of your bass drum, like from you hitting the bass drum, that doesn't trigger or fuck with that thing at all?
No, I don't. Someone else actually Dan said that. Um, but no, I don't.
Which
I didn't.
stand?
Dan Burke. I remember him asking me like years ago. He was like, I don't
Oh,
understand how this works, and I just was like, oh, I just never considered that would be a problem. Maybe I'm not hitting the kick hard enough.
huh. No, I mean I'm an idiot when it comes to that shit. I've never messed with like any sort of like even when the thing was to have those like big like bass booms, you know, and it'd be fucking way too loud over the speakers and the intercom and shit. Like I never messed around with any of that shit, so I didn't know, you know, how all that worked. But
Right, right,
I
right.
just wondered if it would like trigger it, you know, when it was, you know, sitting right on top there.
I never had any issues with it.
Okay.
Yeah, the bass boom thing was a good time, wasn't it? Like the more ignorant, the more ignorant, the better. Yeah, I love that
I
period.
feel like you know, I feel like one of the most ridiculous ones was, and I'm trying to think of what the track was. Despised Icon.
That
I
sounds
feel
about right.
like
Yeah.
it damn near shattered the glass out of my car, and I'm trying to think of what song it would have been, but it was just like, where are bands gonna go from here? How
I know.
much bigger is this shit gonna get? You know?
I know. I loved it. I remember. I guess yeah, it must have been. I think it might have been when Dead Swans played. What was that big festival in Worcester? New England Metal and
um,
Hardcore Festival or something?
a metal and hardcore fest. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay,
remember pulling up outside it, and I think I want to say maybe Emure was playing, and
okay.
and we were outside, and the windows were shaking every time, every sub drop. It's insane. You couldn't
Oh
even
my
you
god.
couldn't even really hear the music, but then there would just be this like rumble, like an earthquake. It's insane. I think that was when it
Oh my
peaked. That was when
god.
that 808 sub drop movement peaked.
Yeah. Oh my god. I kind of wonder sometimes with shit like that, like a bigger festival, you know, if like local authorities are like calling in dispatch, like we're getting fucking bombed, like what is happening here?
I wouldn't have been surprised. It got completely out of control, especially in those
Oh
big
my god.
rooms.
Yeah. Yeah. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Are you still active at all with Night Letters by chance?
Well, I mean, yeah, I would love to be in theory if we can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess
We
with right now, you know, everything, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult because those guys are we're all split up everywhere. Um,
Okay.
TK and Adam are in Berlin, and it was kind of their
Oh,
their
okay.
project initially. So TK was in More Than Life. You know that band, More Than Life?
Yep. Okay.
So he played drums in them, and then Adam was in Miles Away and is now in Defeater. Um,
Oh.
they just linked up through knowing each other and being in Berlin. So they wrote that record together. Uh, yeah, and then TK just asked if I would want to play on it. Obviously, I wanted, I always want to do anything, especially with my mate. So yeah, I
Mhm.
jumped at it. I'm really proud of that record. I can't really take any credit for it because again, it was like TK and Adam wrote it. TK and I kind of crafted the drum parts together, but it was, you know, again, it was really a case of me turning up, kind of like me turning up and recording Weight of the World. It's like Rick's done the work for me, you know. It's like just hit
Okay.
this in this order. So yeah, I would love to do more with it. We kind of been talking a bit about trying to write some more or at least play some shows. I mean, it's just, who knows what's happening at the moment. But I mean, two of those guys have children now, so we might be a bit limited in how much
Oh,
touring we
okay.
do. But I would love to
Yeah,
do some
right.
more of that. I really love that record, and uh, I think there's potential for more good songs, hopefully. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's it's
Okay.
possible for sure. Keep an eye on it. Yeah.
Sick, nice. With like playing, as far as even with Weight of the World there, but with bands like July and Night Letters, it was kind of this thing where I don't know if you, and I'm trying to think of examples right now, but even something like Waves. Have you ever listened to that band?
Yeah. I
or
think
or even to say like Culture Abuse, even to say something like that, where it's a little bit more of kind of like a indie or outside of like a heavier element. But hearing, you playing drums on those records, I would like hear that and I'd be like, this is some of my favorite shit, is like having somebody who's in like a heavier punk or hardcore, album or band, and then doing something kind of adjacent and bringing, like that abrasiveness. Because there's certain elements, with Night Letters that I was listening to specifically where I was like, man, I dig the shit about how the drums sound and some of the, some of the parts, how they're played and everything like that. But now it's funny because you're like, I'm not really that drummer. I'm not like super into like thrash or like heavy shit. So that's kind of funny. But that was a note that I took, and I'm like, oh, well, this kind of canceled out.
Oh, well, I lost you a little bit at the start of the question, so I just want to make sure that I understand what you're asking me.
Well,
So,
basically, no. It wasn't really a question, just more or less like, I think it's cool when certain bands kind of have, like they do something indie or they do something, like just kind of a grunge, like rock and roll, but you can tell certain members are into heavier things, and that was kind of the
sure.
take that I took off of like Night Letters, for instance, was, it's a little bit more of a calm thing, but even the sound of your drums and different things. I was going to make a mention of that, where it was really cool. But then, you had mentioned, you're like, yeah, I'm not really into like playing thrash, and I kind of had to learn that. And but I guess even with Dead Swans, I can still say that, because how many albums did you guys have, full lengths?
Um, Only one full length, really.
Okay.
We did a 7-track EP.
Yep.
We did a
Okay.
demo and then a 7-track EP, and then we did the full length, and then we did another 7-track, which
Okay. Got you.
I mean, I couldn't play a single one of those songs anymore. I can't really even
Oh
remember it.
shit.
We kind of did it. I mean, that band is just it's just a mess. But I think we'd kind of split up, and then we'd. I don't know if we were obligated. I don't know if it was an obligation to Bridge Nine to do another record, or I
Oh,
don't know.
okay.
It was pretty rushed. I think it's not terrible, but I think obviously it could be a lot better. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, with only 3 records really.
Okay, got you. All right, we'll move on from that. And what I wanted to touch on, before we, because I'd mentioned we are gonna, take an hour here, and I don't want to be taking your whole evening there. But I was listening to your episode I had on Rick yesterday, and I was listening to your guys' episode of Thrashers, Slashers, and the Road to WrestleMania. And you guys start talking horror movies. You start bringing up, Hereditary and The Witch, and I'm like, oh, I have to bring
Oh
this shit up,
well,
dude.
I mean, I don't know.
Tell me about some of your interests in horror.
Oh well, I have no interest in horror. I'm terrified of horror films.
Okay,
I'm not
okay,
joking
okay.
at all. I'm absolutely terrified of them. I can't. I I watched Hereditary. Well, I did want to see it um, because I was just became fascinated by it. I just couldn't stop thinking about it.
Uh-huh.
And I watched it even though I knew it was going to terrify me. And I don't mean terrify me in the moment. I mean like will
Uh-huh.
ruin my life, and I will never be able to forget it. Which is what's happened to me with every every horror film I've ever watched. But and that's
Oh
what I
my
said to Rick.
God.
I was like, oh, now The Witch is that film. It's the new one of that film. I know it's going to ruin my life, but I feel like I have to watch it. But I still haven't got the nerve to watch it yet.
Oh my God. So how did you end up choosing? Had you already seen Hereditary for that episode? I know it like breaks
Yeah,
down
yeah, yeah,
years and different things, but
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. By the time I'd got round to doing Rick's podcast, that there wasn't many choices of years left to talk about. So
Okay.
yeah, I think it was a fairly arbitrary choice of 2018. I don't know why I picked it really, but I was like, oh, okay, this would be a good one to talk about because this is one of the few horror films I've seen, and actually I really enjoyed it despite being terrified by it. So I felt like, oh, you know,
Hmm.
I got a lot to say about it. But then when you sent
Okay.
me that message earlier, I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to break it to this guy.
I love that.
I
I
think
love
I've
that.
seen maybe like, I think I've watched maybe like three horror films deliberately, and that's in like, you know, I'm 34, so that's in like however old I've been, like old enough to watch them. That's
Yeah,
what,
yeah,
like
yeah. Okay.
16 years or something. I've seen Scream. I mean, I'm scared. I'm scared of Scream.
Oh, that's
I'm
that's a good. I
terrified
mean,
of.
there's reasons to be.
Well, yeah. I mean, knives are terrifying, right? I don't want to get stabbed.
Yeah.
And I've seen
And the
Nightmare on Elm
stalker
Street.
element, you know, I mean.
Yeah,
Oh,
horrendous.
okay, okay.
I think
What
Nightmare on Elm Street
when
is
did you see
probably
Nightmare on
the
Elm Street?
probably too young. Probably too young, which is what scarred me, I think.
Okay.
The bit where he comes out of her stomach when she's asleep. You know the bit I mean?
Too much. Yeah.
Way
Oh
too
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Way too much. Yeah. I can't. If I
Oh
cut
shit.
myself, I can't look at it. You know. So all of someone's intestines hanging out of
Oh
them
my
is,
God.
yeah, that's way too much.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you had that in Scream. Yeah, not. I can see
Yeah. Oh
why you
yeah.
hate
Big
horror
time.
movies. Fuck. Yeah. You watch
Yeah.
like the three movies that automatically hit on shit that you hate.
Yeah. I know. Immediately, I'm having a bad time. Immediately from the credits.
Oh, oh my
Um.
God, that is
Yeah. I
funny.
can't. Yeah. My girlfriend made me watch. My girlfriend just joined, so she's gonna hear me. Well, she can probably hear me anyway, but
Uh-huh.
she keeps making me watch the Paranormal Activity films.
Okay,
You
okay.
know those ones
I
with
mean, are
the,
you?
you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about, right?
are those ones that you're liking? Are you digging those or no?
No, I'm maybe more scared of them than anything. I can't, I just can't handle it.
Nice,
Things where people are being
nice.
possessed.
Yeah,
I
too
think I'm
much.
actually scared of being possessed. I think that's what it is. I feel like I feel like it's a real possibility. I mean, you might get
Eh,
stabbed anywhere, right? That's, you know, that just is what it is.
You
You
never.
could get stabbed at any point, but
Yeah,
I
a
I feel
possession.
like
That's shitty.
yeah, you don't see it coming, right?
Yeah. How are you
At
gonna
least with,
escape it?
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's it. You're getting to the root of it. That's where the terror lies, 100%.
I mean, what did something happen in your childhood that you can kind of like think back on that like might have triggered some of this shit?
Oh yeah, I was possessed by a demon when I no. No, I don't know.
Uh,
I think I'm just too sensitive. I'm too sensitive. I've got an overactive imagination.
oh man, that is fun. Well, I mean, as far as musically, man, you're there as far as your imagination, so you can take that there, But maybe as far as the
Uh,
interest
th-
in film, I love
oh
that.
yeah.
That's funny.
Thanks, man. Yeah, thanks for giving me an out. Thanks for making me not look
Yeah,
like such a baby.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of my interests. I guess I've just always been a fan of it, not necessarily the being scared element as getting a little bit older and seeing the process of like making how the special effects happen or the music that's involved. Like myself loving music, with Hereditary, for instance, the score that's into it. That's another element, that on top of it being creepy as shit, it's like you're sitting here and you want to mute the movie because of the music that's playing, and if you ever watch The Witch, that's the same way.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm being quite flippant to a point, because definitely with Hereditary, like I said to Rick, like I enjoyed it as a film,
Hmm.
as in rather than it just being a film that I feel was just made to scare people. I enjoyed it as a story. It was a unique concept and a weird story, and I was fascinated. And that's why I was drawn to it, and that's why I'm drawn to The Witch because I feel like it's a good film. I feel like I
Hmm.
know it's going to be a good film, but I know it's going to be scary.
Yeah.
So I don't want to make it sound like I don't have any time for horror films. I'm just
Yeah. Totally.
I'm too much of a baby to watch them.
Okay. If you get an opportunity, the guy who made Hereditary made another movie called Midsummer. Have you ever heard of that one?
Oh yeah, that was the other film that terrified me completely out of my wits.
Oh, really?
I was
Okay. What?
I was so scared by it. The thing I was scared by um, is the the calm way that they do things that are completely demented.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I
Okay.
mean? The way
Okay.
that
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's so chilling to me. That was the scariest part. It wasn't really I mean, I didn't like the gore as well, but it was more just like
Right.
don't get me wrong, that still affected me, but yeah, the
Yeah.
it's just the way and the way that there's just that sense of well, actually, I guess that makes sense. That it's the same guy because the sense of unease throughout the whole film.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You just know
Dread that
something's not.
builds.
Yeah, and you just know something's not right
Mm-hmm.
the whole way through.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not, I didn't know if that was one that you had seen, but that was one where, the horror was a little bit more that in lies with once they're over there. And I was going to mention that too, as far as, how calm everybody, that's native there is about all of this shit that's going on. That's absolutely horrifying. Meanwhile, all the people that travel, they're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is horrible. And everybody else is like, nah, this is what we do. Bad
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what happened here. My connection started saying it was all fucking up.
Oh, no problem. I didn't know if it was
Ridiculous.
me.
Yeah.
It's all
No,
good.
no, not a problem. That was probably the whatever out there just kind of saving us from having to talk about horror anymore. So
Yeah,
that's fine.
someone's looking out for me.
All right, look. So this has been absolutely awesome, man. I really, really appreciate being able to sit down and chat with you. It's been like I've messaged you before, and we've kind of talked off, here just as far as Weight of the World being really huge to me and inspiring, a huge hardcore love of mine as well. So I appreciate the work that you put into it as well, and I appreciate your time coming on here and having this conversation, digging into some of that.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for asking me, mate. Yeah, it's really nice to talk to someone who, if it means something to you, then it's always good to talk to people about, things that you've done that they've enjoyed. I think it's important to tell, I tell people all the time if they've done things that I've enjoyed, I always try and let them know, and especially, yeah, if you're a person who makes stuff. Sometimes it's really hard to know if anyone cares about the stuff you're doing, even if you care about it a lot. I, you know, I'm
Mm.
always grateful if anyone wants to tell me that they've enjoyed something I've done, and I like talking to people about it. So yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on, man.
Hell yeah, yeah. Not a problem whatsoever. Is there anything that you're working on right now, or anything that you kind of wanted to give an update for, is all at all?
Um, yeah, well, I'm doing a bunch of stuff. I guess the best way to to keep up with it is just follow my Instagram, and um, I'm always posting all the bits that I do on there. Working on,
Hmm.
yeah, like I said, I'm working on some stuff with my brother and my mate Frank. Uh, he's doing some production for my brother. So we're kind of doing some
Sweet.
stuff together there, writing some kind of stonery stuff with my mate Jamie. That might come to fruition at some
Oh
point. Might
shit.
record some of that. I'm having some fun doing that. It's kind of odd time signature stuff. Stuff with Noisy that's ongoing. Hopefully, come out and catch us at a show. Um, what else am I trying to plug here? Maybe we'll write some new Dead Swan songs. We're talking to each other about trying to get into a room together. So
Oh damn. Okay.
um, yeah, that's maybe. I don't want to speculate
Yeah.
too much,
Right.
but yeah,
Right.
perhaps. Yeah, bits and pieces. Loads of stuff going on. I'm playing with some artists in London. We're trying to get some stuff together. Maybe do some live stuff. Make some live videos and things like that. Kind of more hip hop type stuff. Yeah,
Sick.
just keep an eye on my Instagram. There's always stuff going on.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, something for everyone, I think. Hopefully.
Nice. Yeah, I totally agree. That's one of the things where, kind of, I'm not huge into social media at all, and I think I've reiterated this plenty of times. But the cool thing about having like this page is being able to reach out to different people and having this opportunity to be able to talk with you guys, and kind of doing this kind of deeper look into This Is Hell and different members that have been throughout, you know, and having the opportunity to have this time and, you know, have this talk too. So I mean, this is really sick, and I appreciate that opportunity, as well as being able to see, you know, different things people have going on, you know, or different projects outside of something, kind of open up your mind a little bit, you know, and not just be
Yeah,
caught into, I just love hardcore, you know. It's like, holy shit, this dude's doing like some like tracks and doing some drumming for some hip hop acts. Like, you know, let's see what comes out of
yeah,
that, you know. So it's
absolutely. I
cool.
think it's nice. It feels like a nice continuation of the feeling I got when I found punk and hardcore, and feeling like you were part of that community, and you know, you learned about so much stuff through the stuff that you already liked, you know,
Hmm.
whether it be other bands or it was, you know, other movements or you know, subcultures within it. And I feel like, yeah, if you use social media right, then you can get the same thing out of it. And like you say, it's really interesting if you like a band and then you follow the people in that band, or you know the people in that band, and then you see the other things that they do, and you know, you meet more cool people, or you hear other cool music, and it's nothing like what they've done before. I love that about social media, and you know, doing things like this, which you know, I didn't know you before this, so that's cool. Now we're mates. It's just another
Oh yeah.
it's just another mate, isn't it? It's
So
great.
sick. Yeah. Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. That's awesome, and good way to put it too. You know, as far as a finale here, I was trying to conjure up a couple of things. I had a couple of ideas, but I was going to ask, you know, with acts that you've been involved with, like July, like you know, night letters, different things, you know, and more of an atmospheric feel. If you got the opportunity, oh, did I cut out here again?
No, it was me. Sorry, my battery is low. It's fine.
Oh,
We got enough. We
oh,
can we
okay,
can
got
keep
you.
going. Sorry,
Yeah.
can you start the question again? Because I
All
think
right.
I lost a bit of it.
Yeah, yeah, not a problem. So, with acts that you're involved with, you know, from July to night letters, different things like that, that are a little bit more atmospheric. If you had the opportunity to score a movie, who would be a director, or, you know, someone that you would love to be involved with, and what other musicians would you like to work on a project like that?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, wow. Okay. I'm gonna say the Coen brothers.
Oh yes,
I
fuck
think
yeah.
the Coen brothers are a good example of. I relate to them in the sense that I love their films, and I love their films in the sense that they're often quite dark, and they are serious in a way, but they also don't take themselves too seriously, and they're quite stylized. I like that there's a blend of
Hmm.
um, you're aware that it's a film, right? Like it's dark and it's telling a story and it creates a mood, but it's also kind of silly, um, which I feel
Right.
is kind of like my personality. So I think probably the Coen brothers. In terms of, I don't know about, I've played with so many amazing musicians, and I've been really lucky with people that I've been in bands with and stuff. So I mean, I don't want to cause arguments
Yeah,
and
yeah.
name
Well,
any
you know
names,
what?
but
I mean,
I would
for
love to. The first band I played in, we had a horn section, and I've never had a horn section in any band I've been in since. So I think I would love to write something. I don't know. I can kind of see the Coen Brothers doing a kind of 60s-esque kind of thing, and write a bunch of soul tunes for that. I think that would be something I would love to do that for sure.
damn. Totally. I love that. I love that answer, dude. That is absolutely sick. You know, you mentioned the Coen brothers, and I was like, well, shit, you and your brother, you know, are doing some stuff, like having two brothers with two brothers fucking doing some shit.
Yeah, we could be the Coen Brothers
Wild.
of London music. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Sick. Sick. Love that answer, man. That is awesome. Look, Manny,
Okay,
this has
good. I
been
got.
our time. I've taken a little over the hour that I had requested, and I really do appreciate this, man. This is awesome. So I hope to catch you whenever you guys are doing some touring, or if, you know, my wife and I do some traveling. If we are over your way, you know, hopefully we can catch a show, you guys.
Oh, 100%. Always let me know if you're going to be in London, and I'll do the same whenever
Totally.
I'm on your side.
All right, man. All right, sick. Thank you so much again, man. I truly appreciate it. You take care and enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. Thanks so much. Take it easy.
Yep, not a problem. Lo-fi horror
All right.
guy, my dude. We are out of here. You guys take care. Benny Mead, take care, man.
Dun, 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 dun. He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi, lo-fi, a horror guy. Yeah. Lo-fi horror guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.